I want to tell you about the night I almost lost everything. Not to a dramatic affair or a screaming match, but to a series of small messages I told myself were harmless. I wasn't cheating, but I crossed a line. And the way he responded changed how I understand love forever. It started the way so many relationship mistakes do. Not with a bang, but with a whisper. A quiet, persistent thought. He doesn't understand me right now. And there was someone else who seemed to. His name was Alex. A coworker. Friendly, easy to talk to. It began with work vents, then life vents, then relationship vents. I told Alex about Mark, my boyfriend. How he'd been buried in a work project for weeks. How we'd missed our last date night. How sometimes I catch him staring into the distance, and I had no idea what he was thinking. I was sharing my loneliness. But I was sharing it with the wrong person. Here's the truth I've had to unpack in therapy since. I wasn't lying. Every frustration I shared was real. But I was building a case, to Alex and secretly to myself. I was collecting evidence of Mark's failures and presenting it to a biased jury of one. I painted him in shadows and half-truths. I focused on the empty spaces between us, not the foundation we'd built. You know, that subtle shift? When venting stops being about release and starts being about connection. With the wrong person. One night, Mark fell asleep early on the couch, exhausted. I felt alone in the same room. My phone buzzed. Alex, you deserve someone who's present. My heart didn't flutter. It sank, because part of me wanted him to be right. And that's the moment it stopped being harmless. I typed back. Sometimes I wonder if Mark even gets me. I pressed send. And in that instant, I gave away a piece of our story. The next evening, I was washing off the day. The shower water was hot, the steam thick, a sanctuary. In the living room, my phone, face up on the coffee table, lit up. A preview of Alex's reply flashed on screen. Mark was passing by. He wasn't snooping. The light just caught his eye. He saw the name. He saw the preview. He saw my sentence, naked and cruel, out of context. He didn't pick up the phone. He didn't storm into the bathroom. He just stopped. And in that stillness, our entire relationship hung in the balance. When I stepped out, the air was different. It wasn't anger. It was the profound quiet of a shattered assumption. The assumption that we were safe. I expected fire. I braced for the explosion, the yelling, the accusations, the how could you? I had my defenses lined up. It was just talking. You've been distant, but he made dinner. Silently. The clang of the pot, the chop of the knife. Each sound was an accusation. We ate. The silence between us was a third person at the table. It was the loudest silence I've ever heard. Every fork scrape was a question. Every glance he didn't give me was an answer. I realized then, the punishment wasn't going to be his anger. It was going to be my own guilt, reflected back at me in his quiet hurt. Hours later, in the dark of our bedroom, he finally spoke. His voice wasn't a weapon. It was a weight.
I saw the messages from Alex. I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to search your phone. That's not who I am. And that's not what I want this to be.
He turned on his side to look at me. In the dim light from the street, I could see his eyes. They weren't blazing. They were clear and deeply, deeply sad.
Here's what you need to understand. I love you. I want a life with you. But I don't want that life. I don't want a life where I have to compete for your honesty, where your real thoughts go to someone else first. So I'm not giving you an ultimatum. I'm giving you a choice. You can have a secret emotional life with someone else. Or you can have an open, honest one with me. But you can't have both with me in it. I don't want to lose you, but I won't compete for you.
Those words didn't break my heart. They broke the narrative I'd built in my head. He wasn't claiming ownership over me. He was claiming responsibility for himself. He was stating, with devastating clarity, the conditions under which he could stay and still respect himself. My tears weren't for being caught. They were for finally seeing the betrayal for what it was. It wasn't about sex. It was about sanctuary. I had taken the sacred, vulnerable energy of my relationship, the frustrations, the fears, the unmet needs, and I had deposited it in another man's inbox. The affair wasn't physical. It was emotional. And in some ways, that made it more profound. So I did the only thing left to do. I put down my weapons. I stopped defending the indefensible. "You're right," I said. My voice was a whisper. It was emotional cheating. "I'm so sorry." We talked until the sky turned gray. Not about Alex, about us. About the distance that had grown like moss between two stones. About my fear of direct conflict. About his retreat into work. We mapped the empty space between us, and for the first time in months, we did it together. He stayed. Not from weakness, but from a strength I'm still trying to understand. He stayed because he could distinguish the person I was from the action I did. He stayed because he believed in my capacity to choose differently. Here is what he taught me, branded on my soul. Love is not just a feeling you protect from others. It is a space you protect for each other. Loyalty isn't just about your body being in the right room. It's about your heart speaking its hardest truths to the right person. And the strongest boundaries aren't walls made of anger. They are lines drawn in the sand with love, clarity, and self-respect. They don't say, "You're bad." They say, "This is what I need to stay." He read my messages. And he still stayed. But he didn't stay for the woman who sent them. He stayed for the woman he believed I could become. The one brave enough to be honest, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. He gave me a mirror when I deserved a slammed door. And in that reflection, I didn't just see my mistake. I saw the partner I wanted to be worthy of.
Thank you for listening to today's story. This is one of those quiet breaches of trust that can unravel everything. Where do you draw the line between harmless venting and emotional infidelity? Do you think his response was strong, or should he have walked away? We read every comment. Share your take below. Tomorrow, we have a story about fate and second chances. We broke up and met again at a funeral. Don't forget to subscribe so it's waiting for you. Until then, remember to keep your hardest conversations inside your own relationship. It's the only way that love grows.